Hey everyone, welcome back to the Unconnoisseurs of Jazz. Tonight we are going to be talking about an artist named Tim Berne, alto and baritone saxophonist, composer, band leader, and label boss. Tim Berne has a strong and singular music personality, one that links each of his diverse, frequently absorbing works, almost always juxtaposing meticulously noted arrangements with free improv. I'm really looking forward to talking about Tim tonight and the album called Science Friction from 2002. So, cue the music. Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started.
Science Friction.
Okay, so before we get started, we might as well just play a couple of clips.
Yes.
That way, in case our listeners have not put it in their ears, they get a chance to listen to some Tim Berne.
I like that idea.
Let's get started.
I've got mine queued up.
Okay,
so
perfect.
I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Tell us what you're going to listen to.
Matt, you and I both ended up picking the exact same moment in a song, and so I had already had a backup. This was one of my songs that I picked early on in the week. I think it hit me pretty well. Everything I had to say about the other clip, I'll say when we listen to yours, but I wanted to hear just at the beginning. This is about 19 seconds in to the third song on the album called Sci-Fry. And this was a Berne and Marc Ducret written song. So with that said... I'll go ahead and end it there. The whole song kind of moves just about like that. It will pick up in a moment as more music comes in. But one of the reasons I picked this particular track is I was thinking, how do you best sum up this album in 1 minute? And you're going to find from all three of our clips that you can't summarize an album with a clip. And so I went to one end of the spectrum. This spectrum, for me, represents what Matt, you talk about a lot dissonance. We've used that word a lot more recently, but this tonal and harmonic density, it's a very simple tune. As far as the instrumentation, it's not heavy. You don't hear a lot of heavy drums, so you're not picking that up, but you get the keyboards, you get the guitar, and then you slowly build in and creep in the alto sax. So they just build on it, but they're not playing a standard head. And in that, we see the complexities of this album.
I like that word, density. It is pretty dense, even though he leaves space for everyone else to play. Everything together feels like a
solid rock, a solid piece of metal.
Lead. Very, very dense.
Yeah, dense.
One of the things I noticed over and over, and I listened to this album a bunch, I listened to a lot of things, both from Tim, his influence, which you'll talk about in a little bit. I got to go over some Craig stuff. I got to go over some Mark stuff. But a lot of the other bands that Tim had, one of the things that I was reminded of this week, this album was one of the few that we've encountered in the last few weeks, last couple of months, that demanded an active and focused listening. You cannot put it on as background music. You're not going to catch anything that's going to be played. but I did find a lot of interest in it when you sit actively and listen. You had to stop.
I made it in my notes. Believe it or not, it's big headphone worthy. This one does. It's not for the tame in-ears. It's not for the AirPods. You put on your big headphones, get a nice comfy chair, get yourself a cup of coffee or a scotch, and sit down and listen to the album actively.
Yep.
You're going to be surprised.
A lot of music going on.
A lot of stuff going on.
I know. Dad's got a lot to say. What did you want to listen to, old man?
Hey, I'm choosing number one. Number one. What'd you say? Eggs?
Huevos.
Scrambled eggs? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Hey, starting at 5:25, that's like the end of that first song. 3. So part of the reason I chose this track, this section, was I felt like it was on the softer side of the overall album. And it gave me a sense that I would like for the rest of the album to be more like that. I can talk about it later, but this is not the music I want to listen to driving through Chicago. It would stir my stress, give me added pressure, and the anxiety level would go out of the roof, blow my head off. So if the other tracks were like this, I could enjoy putting my real headphones on and listening.
I appreciate the clip though, because it does highlight just about everyone in the band.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know you'll have a slide up already, but I'm just going to read the names real quick. You got Tim Berne on alto saxophone, Marc Ducret on the acoustic and electric guitars, Craig Taborn on the electronic keyboards, and Tom Rainey on the drums. In your clip, I like the effect of the acoustic guitar playing alongside the alto sax there. I didn't really hear much keyboards in that clip, although it's there. The drums are kind of in the background, but the acoustic and the alto sound just amazing together in that clip.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Good.
Yeah, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment too. That helps me understand a little bit more about the dynamics of this album.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So for me, song number 4, and the song is called Manatee Woman. Start me. And so I just want to say thank you for having a backup, because I did not have a backup this week, because I looked forward to this section more than anything while I listened to the album over and over and over again this week. And so start me right about 3 minutes, or your pick even at 2:45. Played at 3:45, and we'll talk about the clip. Okay.
I think it justifies this. So
Okay.
2:40. So I grabbed an extra 20 seconds or so in there for yours because I think it's. Go ahead. You tell me.
Well, again, I like to highlight the change in attitude, the change in rhythms, the change the just the whole feel of the song changes from that kind of avant-garde jazz feel. Then he goes right into that to the almost rock and roll um, feel right there with the halftime drums and just wailing guitar. Maybe I enjoyed that section most because of my progressive rock background history. Think of the group Yes. Yes does that a lot in their tunes where they'll completely change the tempo and go halftime or go double time and just start wailing on something almost entirely new in the song that you're listening to. Rush does it too occasionally, but not as much as the group Yes does. So for that, I appreciated that particular clip myself. I just like the time change, the way that the feeling of the tune just takes a left hand turn and just changes.
And the note that I had when I picked this section is that it changes at 3 and then it changes at 3:20 again. And it kind of comes back, but it's the rhythmic complexity that made this album what it was. I got into the terminology is knotty, like a string being multiplied and knotted in different places. Knotty composition. And one guy translates it to naughty composition, because you're not keeping to rhythmic concepts. You're not sticking to a tone center or a chord structure. You're not sticking to the rules. But in this, the rhythmic complexities, those changes. And somebody went on to say the knotty compositions really were a part of progressive rock. Mm-hmm. That's what you could understand. And that's basically, they ignored any straightforward time signatures, complexity. They shifted rhythms in the song. It almost sounds like 3 different songs in a 6-minute presentation, 12-minute presentation. I'm sorry. This song was 12 minutes and 20 seconds long. So it seems like it's 3 different songs wrapped into one. Those were the notes I made in that.
Yeah.
In that, the knotty compositions, highly intricate, difficult, complex, and convoluted masterpieces.
We're going to have to be careful about calling ourselves the Unconnoisseurs anymore. The way that you just described that clip, I think we're beginning to connoisseur of jazz.
I know 2 of you are, because I'm impressed at the way you cover this album. Because I'm very simplistic when I think of this. It's like, do I like it? Does it stir me or not? And you guys can dig deeper with your musical background, and I appreciate that so much, because it does enlighten me and helps me appreciate this variety of jazz.
Let me read a quote by Tim real quick. People say it sounds like rock or it sounds classical. I never studied classical music and I never played in a rock band. It's very complicated. So that's my only objection. But quite honestly, in some ways, if someone says that I'm a jazz musician, it's a compliment that I may or may not deserve. So he didn't study classical. He didn't study rock and roll. And he really, honestly, didn't study jazz music. He we'll get into it in a little bit, but for him to be pigeonholed into one kind of structure, and especially this clip in particular, shows how wide a variety that he can lay out as a composer in a tune. And that's what I found interesting all week long, rabbit holing down some of his music. It is the complete, I mean, I'm not saying he could write a lullaby, but man, he can go from one extreme to almost the polar opposite extreme in the same song and the same album, or even in different albums. So that's what I enjoyed about Tim this week.
It really did make me wonder, going back to last week's quote, since it's always fresh on my mind after editing. composition versus improvisation. I brought that up last week as we talked about Ben Allison and my quote from that. How do you compose a song like this? Or is it just pure improvisation? And the reason I went into this concept of naughty composition, this masterpieces, if you will, what is it that got my attention? I love the album, but what was it about it that it's avant-garde? I mean, there's no doubt that this album it's not Art Ensemble of Chicago out there, and it's not Peter Broadsman out there. But you did notice that one of the musicians did play on a Peter Broadsman album, so it doesn't surprise me. It's the far-reaching outer atmosphere of things. Why did I like it so much? And mostly I'm getting into free jazz and avant-garde. I'm starting to really appreciate it, so that's why I'm digging.
It's like Sun Ra, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was out there.
Yeah.
He was out there.
Yeah, he was out there. But Tim is at least grounded on our planet,
Right.
Yeah.
Not from Saturn.
not Venus.
Not Venus.
Saturn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Matt,
So-
what you got for us this week? Let's talk about him some more.
Here we go. Just like I've said for the past 125 weeks, whatever you do it to jazz. You're going to hear in our Weeks in Music coming up in just a little bit. That's pretty much what we do. We listen to jazz all week long. We come together on our Monday evening conversation here, and we talk about an album and how it made us feel. We are using the list from Nate Shinnon's book called Playing Changes. The book is available at your local bookstore and Amazon.com. We are not sponsored by Nate. We just chose to use his list as our guide to further our education in jazz music and get some other listening in our ears. You know that we did the top 100 Jazz-wise albums that shook the world, and now we're doing Nate Shinnon's list of 129 albums between the year 2000 and 2018. So we are in the
and you'll see, Matt, when we did our top 10 drummer, sax, and trumpet players, we appreciate somebody else's list. Because it's hard to throw your own out there.
It's hard to put, yes. And let me, before I go any further, let me say thank you for all of the comments on all three of our lists. I appreciate the comments on your two, especially. You got a lot of positive comments. I got a few questionable
comments.
I got a few comments, yes. But you know what? That's why we put those lists out there and spark discussion and find out where we went wrong. So, and if you got comments about tonight's video, obviously leave it in the comment section for us. So Nate's book is available at Amazon and your local bookstore, or you can go to playingchangesbook.com/essential albums to check out the list that we're using. Tonight, of course, we are talking about Tim Berne and the album Science Friction. Now, let me pose a question to you real quick, because is the name of the album Science Friction, or is it Tim Berne and Science Friction? Because Science Friction is the four-piece band that's put together here, and they go on to record several other albums as under the Science Friction name. So is this Science Friction album name or the band name, Drew?
I think when it kicked off, you have to go back to the fact, if I may interject this moment here. Tim had a lot of different bands, and I think that you're going to say that. One of the bands leading into this was a band called Blood Count, and they had been playing at the Knitting Factory in New York. And the Knitting Factory's become a big production company, but I think that they formed this band out of that and called it Science Friction, but it was Tim Berne, Science Friction, the album.
Okay.
Then the next three albums, they were called, what were the albums called, Matt? I got them right here. This group did then Science Friction, of course, in 2002, The Sublime, and that was from 2003. Mind Over Friction, the compilation, which was a studio and a live album. There's Plus Size, which was recorded in 2003, released in 2020, and then No Tamales on Wednesday from 2024. So I think that the group was called Science Friction. But as Tim had been arranging these musicians to play together, they were known as a collective called Science Friction.
Okay.
And they probably did more live stuff at the Knitting Factory and all over New York and the world doing that. So
the album came first, and then the group came Science Friction.
Science Friction.
And why No Tamales on Wednesday? That's just redonkulous. You have Taco Tuesday.
Tamales are every day of the week and the weekend. Doubles on Saturday and Sunday.
Maybe no huevos on Wednesday, but why no tamales?
No scrambled eggs.
All right, so back to my information here. Doggone AD by Julius Hemphill was his catalyst into music. Now, I found that fact interesting because before he listened to Doggone AD, his siblings would play some pretty far out there music, and he would stand outside their room and kind of listen and dig the music that they were playing. But they had Julius Hemphill's album on, and he went in, made himself comfortable, and started listening to Doggone AD, and that's basically what his catalyst into becoming a musician became. So to say that Julius was his mentor, we'll get into that information in a little bit, but that album by Julius was his catalyst. He ended up taking lessons from Julius as well. So just a cool fact.
I don't know if you threw that out there, but what year was Doggone AD released?
72.
Yes, 72. Yep. Thank you for that. Tim started recording in 79. So he's got a 5-year deal here. He hadn't even touched the saxophone, never played it, picked up the saxophone in 72, and then started recording in 1979. That's ridiculous if you ask me. I mean,
man, Larry Young walked into a warehouse with his organ and said, I don't know why it takes so long to figure out your voice. I did it in, 2 weeks?
2 weeks. I get it. I get it. And I feel like the organ might be a different instrument. Even the drums are going to take a long time to study and get your rhythms and stuff down. But to pick up a saxophone and then 5 years later be good enough to start recording, it's amazing. It just blew me away.
It's incredible.
It is. It really is incredible. So over the years, he's formed at least 11 different small groups, each with a different name. That's why Science Friction happens to be one of those. And what was some of the other ones, Drew?
Blood Count was the one that I ended up checking out.
Yeah, Blood Count. He had
Attention Spam was the album that I listened to, and the reason was it had Jim Black on the drums and Chris Speed on tenor and clarinet, two names which we've come across since coming to this new list.
Yeah, that's right.
Michael Formanek on the bass on that album, but yeah, he had a lot of different ones. You're going to go on to say something here in a little bit, but
you mentioned Jim Black, right?
Yeah,
Alas No Axis.
Alas No Axis.
Yeah,
and Chris Speed. So he's recorded under the name Blood Count with those guys. So a lot of different. I'm trying to click on my link right here to see.
He's got Paraphrase with Drew Grease and Tom Rainey.
Yes.
Hard Sell with Tom Rainey and Craig Taborn. Science Friction with these guys. Buffalo Collision, Snake Oil, Broken Shadows, Capitosta. He's got some creative stuff going on there.
And I just saw this. He did record with Julius Hemphill.
Yes.
In 1994 on five chord stud. I like that. 5-chord stud. And then One Atmosphere.
So he's got a lot going on.
Man's been busy.
Well, his latest album is from 2025. It's called Radio Legs. So that was the last little piece of my information there. So very, very hard worker, in my opinion. Very, very astute and smart. And we'll talk about his label here in just a second.
Actually, the album was called Medium Cool from 2025, and that's on the Radio Legs label. I thought when you said that, I recognized it, but it was backwards. The reason I want to say that is that he began Screwgum record label.
Yep.
And as part of that, now he's recorded on Empire, JMT, Soul Note, but he's also got some ECM labels out there, Snake Oil, Shadow Man, You've Been Watching Me. So he's been on a lot of different labels, but the Screwgum came as part of the, we need to get some records out there, and I bet I know I can do this. So let's do it.
Well, and actually it all started because he was working with Julius, and Julius he could gig and he could play just great, but he was not a manager. He didn't have a manager. He couldn't manage his own stuff. And so Tim actually stepped up and did the whole managerial stuff for Julius to get him back gigging and making some money. And then he realized, I can do this. I got this managerial stuff down. I know who to talk to. I know who to call. I know how to book. I know how to record. And he said, you know what? After I think after him and Julius, they didn't split up, but after Tim went his own way, he's like, I'm just going to start my own label because I know how to do it. And that's when Screwgun came along. So again, very smart in the business section and very impressive on the recording side too. But yeah, thank you for correcting me. The label was Radio Legs, and the album was
and I think this is what we're finding on the free jazz. The free jazz side of things, nobody wanted to record it back then. It was pushing boundaries. We're talking 79. Now here we are still today fighting people. Upper right-hand corner of my screen. Some people don't dig free jazz. They want to stick to the mainstream. And I think that's good. But that means a lot of this music isn't going to be picked up. And if you're not picked up as a musician, then why do I play, even if it's mainstream? Polar opposite, Kenny G.
Yes, polar opposite. Yeah. Anyways, I put a quote on here as well. Another quote by Tim. I love this quote because it goes back to basically how he got started. I couldn't have been less likely to become a musician. Everybody in my family except me attempted an instrument. And it just, I don't know. After I read that interview, and Drew put that link up there for us from the Tim Berne interview that is on 20questionsmusic.com.
Yes.
We'll put that link either in the show notes or up above my head. It's a great interview, and I learned so much. And it was after I read the interview that I had a lot more respect for the album and the way that I listened to it. Him and Julius, their relationship, I found interesting just because it was his mentor. And he called him up one day and said, hey, man, would you give me lessons? And Julius was like, sure, come on over. I'm not doing anything else. And before you know it, it'd be like me calling up Winton and saying, hey, man, it's been a while since I played. Would you give me a few lessons? And then hanging out with him for the next 5 or 10 years. Yep. So I just found it really cool. I just found it, the whole thing was just really cool. So thank you for letting me do the presentation there. You can find out more information about us on the unconnoisseur.com. That's our website. We do have a 24-hour streaming radio channel, WTUR.org. That's our 24-hour streaming radio. You can pick it up on your computer or your smartphone. For podcasts, you can go to Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify and listen to us. And if you don't want to see our beautiful faces, you can go just listen to us. But pick an artist that you like and listen to one of our episodes. Leave us a few comments and always be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube videos. Hit the bell on the bottom so you get notified when our new episodes drop. Okay, so who wants to go first?
I'm in.
Okay, go.
There's no doubt I love this album. I appreciated all that was going on in it, and there was a lot. It's not something to... Maybe it is a wake-up call in the morning. Put the album on and it'll wake you up. I did some lawn mowing. I did some weed eating. I've done some cutting of bamboo out back. I'll be doing some shoveling of rocks tomorrow to it. I've enjoyed just quiet time with it. I've enjoyed it in a lot of different places, but I have to go back to the same statement. You have to actively listen. There will be a lot of notes that you will miss. There'll be a lot of rhythms that you don't pick up. There really is harmony and melody in it, but you have to be listening for it, or you will just think that it's avant-garde music. It's a lot of noise. They do play a lot of notes. However, digging into it and finding out more about the players on it, I was blown away by it was LA Times reviewer who said this about Craig Taborn. And this is relevant because of where we've been and who we've listened to. Craig emerges as one of the most exciting pianists to lead a band since the ascent of Matthew Shipp. And this was in pertainment to his album Light Made Lighter. There were so many people like Marc, for example, on this album. Marc's played with 20 albums with Tim alone. Marc also has 20 to his own name. So you're going to play Marc Ducret on the acoustic or electric guitar has got 20 albums with Tim Berne. So they've got a tight bond together anyways. Then he's got 20 of his own albums. They've both been active. Marc, for example, 91 to 2024 with Tim, and then 87 to 2023 on his own. So we've got some really brilliant musicians. Their time together, the exploration of the music that they've had together, and then in other side projects. All four of these guys are busy. Period. They're busy. And so it made it enjoyable to sit and listen to this album for me.
Would you have a recommendation for an album by one of the other musicians?
I mentioned this one earlier, but yes, if you're not going to listen to Doggone AD, that's the first one, and that was the Julius Hemphill. Go check out Blood Count in the album Attention Spam, S-P-A-M. That album, to me, it was really cool. I dug the album in general because Tim's on the alto and the bari sax. Chris Speed plays clarinet at some point, as well as a tenor, and it's Jim Black. So Chris Speed, Jim Black, to me, it was like an old school reunion. I enjoyed it. The other ones, I don't have the complete list of everything that I went into with Tim Berne, but I tried to start before and after this.
Yeah.
And so I took, where are we at? 2002. So Science Friction. I didn't get to Sevens, which was after this, but Open Coma, another great album. I have a shebang on the bottom of that one too. So it was so much fun.
Did you listen to Fulton Street Mall?
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not. There is one, when you look at, and I'm going to put the link in the description below, when you look at the words that Nate Chinnon had written about this particular album, he has a link to an album that I can't find. And I didn't write it down, but it's the live version and the studio version album of Science Friction. I wanted to hear what it was like live. So, of course, there's a few live albums. Electric and Acoustic Hard Sell Live was one of those on Screwgun with Tim Berne, Craig Taborn, Tom Rainey on drums. So if you go back to the original Hemphill and listen to Doggone AD, you start to see where his inspiration came from and where he's taken it since then. So to me, it was so crucial to read that. I was like, heck yeah, I'm going old school. 1972.
Yeah, 1972. But again, I don't want to say that avant-garde started then, but he was still almost tip of the spear for avant-garde, pushing the boundaries of where jazz was back in 72.
Yes.
So, all right.
What
Dad?
about you? Yeah, Dad,
Yeah,
what's up?
you?
Well, I have limited information, stuff to say about this album. The one thing I will say is I did not play it for your mom because it would drive her away from listening to further jazz.
Okay.
And I don't. There, obviously, there's some great musicians on this album, and Tim Berne is fantastic as a composer, a band leader, a sax player, and I give them a lot of respect. But the dissonance that I felt was the first time or two was overwhelming to me. It was not ear candy
No.
at all, and so I couldn't be at peace listening to it. So therefore, I listened rather sparsely this week to the album. I listened to a lot of other stuff, but I just couldn't put my head, my ears around this particular album. But again, I respect the musicianship and the composition and the improvisation. I mean, that's obvious that it's there. So the fact that this man has had over 50 albums to his credit and playing as a sideman and starting his own record label, a couple of them anyway, that's very impressive. And what you said earlier, Matt, about him picking up the saxophone later, like he was in college, I think, out in Oregon.
I think so, yeah.
And I wondered how he got from, where was he born?
Right?
Born in Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse.
Yeah. And he made his way out to Oregon to study. That was intriguing.
Clark College.
Yeah. So that's about all I can say regarding this album. So
what piece of criteria stuck out to you though while you were listening? You know, our 5 criteria: the craftsmanship, the awareness, the creativity, the spirit, the emotion. Can you pick out one of those to highlight what stuck out to you about Science Friction?
Well, if I think of him as a composer, I have to think of his creativity. Okay, that stuck out highly to me. Obviously, the man knows what he's doing and what he's saying through his music. So that's high on my scale. Good question.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. My turn?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to read this, though, just so that I have it all on the record. He said that he had no interest in playing an instrument until he attended Lewis and Clark College in Oregon. Hearing the album by Julius Hemphill turned his attention towards jazz. He had been a fan of rhythm and blues, and it seemed to Hill that Hemphill was playing jazz with the soulfulness of R&B. In 1974, he went to New York to find Hemphill, who gave him sax lessons and advice on how to manage his career. Berne then started the record label Empire Productions in 1979. So, yeah, how do you... I wake up one morning, hear an album, and I went and chased that guy across the country. I mean, coast to coast across country. And it reminds me of Quincy Jones knocking on Clark Terry's door at 14 years old. Knock, knock, knock. What do you want, kid? I want to take trumpet lessons from you. Kid, you got to go to school in an hour, and I just got in from the club. I'll come by every day. Yeah. While you're in town, I'll come by every morning if you'll give me lessons. And
he was hungry. He was hungry. Yeah.
So, yeah, you think 5 years or in 74 he went to Hemphill. You figure from 74 to 79, he was hungry enough to start a record label.
Right.
I'm
going to play my horn and I'm going to record everybody else's stuff.
Yeah. The other thing that I failed to mention previous, he was intentional to play this kind of music. Yeah. He was directed and intentionally focused in this direction, and without that was his purpose. He didn't want to go anywhere else but right here, right there, right in this track. So I read something similar to that in Cheney's book. At least that's my interpretation of it. He wanted to do this. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So for me, reading on the wiki page, he started playing with jazz musicians, and most of these names I'd never heard of before. So this is going to be awesome to kind of rabbit hole down some more of these names: John Carter, Alex Klein, Nels Klein, Ula Dara, Vinny Golia, Paul Motion. We've talked about Paul before, so that was one of the names that I had already recognized. But Ed Schuler as well, and some of these other musicians that he's played with. It sparks my interest again to start rabbit holing and saying, who's John Carter and why don't we know his name? Who's Alex Klein and why don't I know his name? Paul, of course, Paul, he's already highlighted it in my link list. But for me, what really sparked my interest was listening to Doggone AD. Julius's album. I wanted to see what he found so fascinating about it. And actively listening to the album last week, I could really see where Tim's coming from in his compositions and the way that he puts instrumentation together because of Julius's album. Yeah. So it wasn't until I had listened to Science Friction 2 or 3 times before I thought to myself, I better go listen to his influence. Why did he pick Julius as his influence? And especially Doggone AD. What was so interesting? So I went and listened to it. And then I thought, oh, shoot, I can see, my eyes were open and I could see where he's coming from. So I went and did Science Friction again. But then I went back to Doggone AD and did that whole album again. And it kind of sparked in my mind. Yeah. Now I understand. Now I understand where he's coming from, why he would compose his music the way that he does. And get it and try and get it out there. So, and then I read the article from the link in the description below about that Tim gave, or the interview, the blog post, and again, it just sparked my interest in enjoying the work that he put out for this. For me, out of our criteria, it's the craftsmanship stands out to me the most because, like you said. Is it composed or is it free and no composition? And he looks up to the band and he says, tie the knot. And then they go off on a completely different direction, or he unties the knot or comes back to the head. The craftsmanship of the album to me, stood out all week long, how interesting it was and how much I had to concentrate on listening to it. And again, the big headphone worthy, I almost every time after I listened to Doggone AD, I listened to it through my big headphones. I didn't want the jump into work mode and then jump back to the album mode when I have a free minute. I wanted concentration on the album. So I can understand why you wouldn't play it for Mom. I don't think I played it for Kendra. I don't think I played it when Kendra was in the room. Because she, it's not Peter Brotzman, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. I did. First time listener, have a little bit of jazz background. This, I don't want to say that the avant-garde is a small branch to our tree, because it's not. It's a large trunk, and you've got smaller branches off the avant-garde as well. But
I heard somebody say this: in order to reference a first-time listener or not a first-time listener, you have to know where they're coming from. Somebody who's been into progressive rock, Rush, yes, some of the others, you start going, yeah, this might be something you want to jump into jazz-wise. It's a gateway jazz drug for you if that's your kind of scene. If you're coming from
Jacob's Ladder would be a gateway from prog rock into jazz as well.
Yes, absolutely. But all to say, yes, your average person, no. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to jump up and say this. I'm going to go ahead and give my rating.
Let me read one more quote from
Please.
Ben real quick, because we'll just finalize this discussion. There is no nuance. Just like the word jazz, you have to fill it in with your own taste.
Wow.
Boom. Into discussion, mic drop.
Send me
Yep.
that close so I can put that up big
It's
right
in,
here.
it's in the interview that you've got linked
Okay.
below in the interview. I highlighted it just so I could mention it tonight. You have to fill it in with your own taste. So, first time listener, yes, coming from prog rock, from Rush, from Yes, from Dream Theater, even.
Yeah.
Sure, Tim Berne, Science Friction. But somebody who's interested in Miles Davis and John Coltrane, maybe not.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got a rating, Drew.
Do you want to do ratings now, or do you want to go with what's new?
I heard you say ratings, but
Okay, rating it is.
we can do whatever.
So this was an interesting one, Matt, because as you said, it's big headphone worthy. You actually have to stop and listen. And I think that's what really hit me the most. When I decided to stop, I've listened to so many albums on the go. You listen to them several times, you go, okay, I got the gist of the album. But when you get one that goes, wait a minute, what? I missed that. I missed, in a 2-hour movie, I missed the middle 30 minutes. There's so much before and after that, what happened? How do we get here? So I found it fun. This album, it was interesting because the note I put, it's manageable in terms of being able to hear the details. When you stop and listen, you can hear everybody doing their thing. You listen to the content and the vocabulary, if you will, provided by all. And this is what my note for the sci-fi came from, especially in the song Sci-Fi. I love to listen to that song because I could hear everybody saying their thing, almost like a drum circle, where it seems like it's out of control, but yet there's some content to it. My rating as I leave the album was 9. It was tough to listen to this album multiple times. I'd have gone 9, 5, or 10, but to listen to it 5 times this week, okay, 7. Listen to it the 7th time was tough. After hearing all that's going on, I didn't want to miss the conversation, so the last 2 times were busy stuff going around. What about you guys? Where'd you land on ratings?
I gave it a 6. Subjectively, objectively, the creativity, the awareness, and the craftsmanship. Within this genre, this is notable.
Mm-hmm.
But for the spirit and the emo, for me, couldn't do it. I couldn't be there. I couldn't. I didn't want to feel it because to me there was no feel to it. It was just it wasn't blowing in the wind. It was hard to me. It was hard and pulsating, and there was no consistency, no coherence with it, and so I rated it at a 6.
Okay. I'm not terribly mad at that.
Yeah.
You're right. There was no relief in the record. There really wasn't. It was hard driving just about the whole way. So I appreciate your score. I do.
Thank you.
For me, I have to attribute part of my score to Roots and Grooves this week because he put out an audio file, YouTube video, and that's what really sparked me to put my big headphones on for this album. And he was talking about not just jazz albums to listen to with your audio file system. Now, I'm not an audiophile. I don't go out and buy the best speakers or a major amp or anything like that. But I do want to listen to good music with good headphones at least. So after watching his video is when I listened to Doggone AD with my big headphones and then came back to Science Friction. So yeah, thank you, Roots and Grooves, for doing your video as well. My score this week, I hard-coded it before our episode started, and Drew, I got to tell you, the craftsmanship was there for me. The awareness of the musicians was there for me. The creativity blew me out of the water. The spirit of the album, I got the avant-garde spirit. I've got I could hear the instrumentation, the way that he composed it, and the emotion. It ran high for me this week. I'm surprising myself, and I hope I surprise you too. My score this week, 9.5.
Oh, yeah.
Shebang.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge avant-garde fan. I'm not, and I'm even less of a free
You
jazz
didn't even
fan.
go that high on Peace Pipe last week.
I know that.
Yeah.
I realized that. Peace Pipe was a 9 for me, and mostly because I couldn't listen to Peace Pipe on my phone whenever I wanted to. I had to be sitting at the computer, which is okay. I still enjoyed the album, and I'll still recommend that album to anyone who asks. But for me, listening intently this week, I found a lot of time to be able to listen intently this week, and the creativity just blew me out of the water. Knowing where he was coming from, reading the interview, and it all came together for me this week. And I think it was Friday afternoon that I had my score hard coded, and I knew what I was going to give. So it's a 9.5 for me.
Good.
Love it.
Good for you. Yeah.
You shocked me.
Yeah.
I kind of figured I would.
By about a point and a half.
Yeah.
I thought you might enjoy it, Dad. I kind of I kind of anticipated that. And this isn't your jam. This is
not your jam.
What we
at all.
love about your opinion on this too.
Mhm.
So, Dad, what is your jam, baby?
Hey,
Do
I'll
tell
tell
me.
you. Please.
What's new?
New music this week by a group called Work, Money, and Death. I like the title of their group. It has a ring to it. It's like life, right? We work for money, and eventually we have to face the ultimate. And it rings to me of the Old Testament Ecclesiastes, where eat, sleep, and be merry. Tomorrow you're going to die. You know, it sounds morbid. The album is not morbid, but the music on the album is just so good.
What's the title of the album?
I'm sorry.
A portal to here.
Yes, that's what it is. I thought I had it here somewhere.
Which
but
is funny, though, because if life is work, money, and death, I'll take the moment right here, right now. A portal to here.
A portal to
Right here, right now.
Yeah. So for me, this music is reflective. It's soulful. This is a group from Leeds, England, which again, we're talking some global stuff here. It can be classified, the group can be classified spiritual, modal, modern, creative, avant-garde, and post-bop. They've got some musicians on here: Tony Burkill, Neil Innes, Sam Hobbs, who plays the drums. So it's a small group, obviously. Did I say this is I said reflective, but it's also complex. I got the word contemplative, and I believe that. Someone wrote the music is forged by Alice Coltrane, Pharaoh Sanders, and Sun Ra. So it is outside the bounds of just something soft and easy, but it's within the bounds of contemplative and easy to listen to. It reminds me.
That's the spiritual soul jazz.
Yeah. Especially the second song, "A Dance for the Spirit." If you listen to that and you go back to our highlighting and cover of Ezra Collective, you'll hear that, and you just want to be free and just want to flow and move, just light. and just dance. It doesn't have to be light. It can be moving, and that's what this album does for me. So yeah, a portal to what?
To hear.
Yeah. By what group?
Work Money Death.
Work Money Death.
4 songs, 52 minutes long. So you got a 12-minute, another 12-minute, a 13-minute, and a 14-minute tune.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, they don't feel like 12-minute songs.
No.
They don't. When you listen to it, it's enjoyable to listen to. I dug it a couple of times this week. And I just listened to it for enjoyment. So
yeah, good.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good. There you go.
Perfect.
Drew, tell us about your week in music, man. What's been going on?
I forgot we would do that. It's been a good week. I've been staring at the computer screen trying to knock out some videos. We're getting ready to do a gig. That'll be the night after we record next week. So when this episode drops next Tuesday in the evening, where you got a gig coming up, because of where it's at, it'll be behind the security of the airport. So the kids will go in. We're permitted to have 10 students, and we've got the chaperones, which I will be with my camera. I will take my trumpet as well, but they have a 10 limit up on stage for liability purposes. So I may not even blow the horn, which is cool, but that means between now and the 7th, Lily and I will be working on the tunes. I've got a list that our singer put together. These are the 7 songs that she knows. If we do the vocal tunes, everybody's going to solo on them, and then she'll open and close the tunes. We'll probably get 6 of those done, and our 50 minutes is up. Wow. Most likely we'll do 3 or 4 tunes, and then we'll have instrumental songs, and then we'll do a second set. So we have the stage for 2 hours. That's at the Sleep at the Wheel. Sleep at the Wheel. What do they call that? The Sleep at the Wheel and whatever stage it is. I forget, but it's right outside the food court. So it's really cool to be back at the airport. Last year we did this, so for them it's old hat. They've been there, done this, but that's
is this a fundraising event for the?
It is
for the school.
It is. So the New School of Music is a nonprofit organization that raises funds each year for underserved students here in the area. With the fundraising opportunity, the airport does pay per student that we have up there. With the max of 10, they will go to that. So if we bring 30 members and we have set changes, it's still 10. But it helps us raise money through Austin Bergstrom International Airport and the Cultural Arts Division of Austin. So it's a great opportunity. And, of course, then I'll hand out flyers and talk to people while I'm there about what we're doing. Sometimes
can you take some Unconnoisseur flyers with you and say, hey, if you want to hear more about jazz,
absolutely. I have a pamphlet of stuff that QR codes, so I'll take that. But so for us, it's the opportunity to raise funds for the new school, which does help each year get scholarships for students every day in lessons, and then of course the jazz camp that we just wrapped up. So that's been my week in music. What about you guys?
Well, let me go ahead and start. Friday night we went to see the Fort Wayne Philharmonic's Celebrate Freedom. They did their holiday pops for the 4th of July. We went to Auburn to see them that night. Normally we would go on Saturday night to Parkview Field and see the Pops concert, but we had a different place to be on Saturday night. So we saw them on Friday night, enjoyed their performance, standard holiday fare from the Fort Wayne Philharmonic. On Saturday night, we went to Leo to see the Mason-Dixon Line Band. I'll just leave it at that for right now. But they had a big fireworks display from downtown Leo, so we got to see a great fireworks display after that. Hung out with our friends on Saturday night, and I just loved it. This week, parlor games from Tim Berne from 2024. Sacred Vowels. I did Sacred Vowels from 2020, and of course, Doggone AD from Julius Hemphill as well. I dug all of those. So it's a good weekend music for me. I had a lot. Well, Work Money Death, of course, I had that in my ear a couple of times this week. And then one of the other standout albums to me was The Bright Side by Joel Fromm, because you got to hang out with him. So I put that in my ear. Pat Metheny released a new single this year called America the Beautiful this week, not this year. He released a new single this week called America the Beautiful. It's a great piece by Pat. So yeah, that was pretty much my weekend music. I do have one quick announcement. The radio channel and the website may be down for a few days next week. Let's see. Yeah, next week, not this coming week, but next week, just for, I got to get some of the servers moved to a new location. So if you hit the website this week or you're listening to the radio station and it accidentally goes out, that's why. So
Good heads up. Thank you. So my weekend music, on Wednesday of last week, I had my 29th drum lesson, but it's the first lesson since November the 5th of last year because of the long period with chemo and surgery and recovery. Now, on the Tuesday of last week, I was sitting in the infusion room and your mama walked in with a mortician. And we know Mark is his name, and his wife was there for treatment. And he walked in, and I said, "Oh man, I'm so glad you're not here with your suit and your tablet to take notes." And later, I told people he didn't come in with his bag of tools, but that's hilarious.
that is pretty funny.
You know, and I'm sitting there having a conversation with the mortician.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
At least he's not with the Barnes Funeral Home.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because that would have been even more traumatic, even more. Oh, PTSD, you talk about it. It was there, baby. I was listening to WTUR on 2 or 3 bike rides I took this week, plus other times. I really thoroughly enjoy listening to our radio broadcast.
Yeah.
So I listen to a variety of music. I listened to 15 minutes of the first song on Doggone AD. That's what I could take.
Yep.
Okay.
I get it. I do. I get it.
I can understand where Tim is coming from. I definitely can understand that. I listened to Fulton Street Mall. The first track, I got 28 minutes out of 44. Again, I can understand where he's coming from.
44-minute track, or this a whole album 48 minutes?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, 28 minutes of the album.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I wasn't questioning.
I listened to that while I had done some laundry and my cycling stuff, and so I had things to do, and I listened to that. And then EST.
Oh, yeah.
7 days.
Today's a good day for EST.
7 Days of Falling and Gagarin's Point of View. Love it. And the last thing is Birth of the Cool. I mean, what's not to love about my weekend music? So that's where I was.
That's a musical blender right there.
Yeah.
You threw some chocolate and some ice cream and a little bit of cinnamon in a blender and mixed it all up. That's a good week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Good week.
So that's pretty cool.
Okay. So for next week, here's what I want. I want you to put the album in your ears and then come back and listen to our discussion, because this is going to be a banging discussion next week. Next week, we've got the Keith Jarrett Trio. Keith Jarrett, Gary Peacock, and Jack DeJohnette. The name of the album, Always Let Me Go. It's a live album. It's a 2-disc set, 8 songs total, and 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's going to be a lot of music to listen to. You know, we're used to 48 minutes or 52 minutes or even an hour and 12 minutes, but we got 2 hours and 17 minutes of the Keith Jarrett Trio to talk about next week. So,
you know, I take that like when the doctor says, hey, you need to ride your bicycle more. Great, honey, I'm not going to be here very often because I'm going for a bike ride. Like the doctor says, go sit down for 2 hours and 17 minutes and absorb this album. Put your feet up, relax. And with the Keith Jarrett Trio, probably be careful not to fall asleep because it may lull you.
I have not previewed the album. I'm so looking forward to getting into it.
I almost did today, and I was like, I don't want it to scramble my brain of tonight's conversation, so I'm going to wait.
Right. I know. Well, I hope you guys all had a safe 4th of July weekend. I know this one will come out after the 4th. I've still got all my fingers and toes, so but we will be driving.
We'll see if you still have them after the 4th.
Well,
That's
we're
what
driving.
We really want to check.
We're driving to Washington, D.C. to see the fireworks from our nation's capital.
Wow.
So it's, you know, milestone 250-year birthday of America. I kind of want to be there in person and not watch it on TV. So we're gonna stay with our friends and go downtown D.C. for the fireworks on the 4th of July. So
safe trip to you.
I won't be lighting any fireworks.
I read somewhere that there's over 8,000 cannons.
Okay.
That are going to be part of the fireworks display.
Wow.
So it's going to be massive.
Massive.
Probably take a long time.
With the few remaining minutes that we have left, Dad, what's the best fireworks display you can think of that you've ever seen?
Actually, the display that we had at Clarksville at Fort Campbell.
Fort Campbell, it's memorable, wasn't it?
It was.
I was just going to ask, what base was that?
Yeah.
Fort Campbell,
Kentucky.
101st Airborne.
Yeah. So you were there a couple of years, I think. Came down for the 4th of July fireworks a couple of years.
I think so. Yeah.
Drew, what about you? Best
there
or most
there was a fireworks display on a base when you were serving, and I'm guessing that was Clarksville.
I don't think you came to Clarksville. I think you came to Fort Sheridan because we were right in the parade field. The lake was in the background.
Yes.
The band would always set up on one end, and you could see the fireworks kind of over the lake. Yeah.
That was a pretty patriotic thing to be on a military base to celebrate 4th of July.
Yeah.
So that's been memorable. I've seen some good ones here in Austin, but that's it. Yeah. What about you?
Okay, so the best fireworks I've ever seen is down at Thunder over Louisville. So if you've ever been to Louisville the week before the
race, Kentucky Derby.
There you go, the Kentucky Derby. They have a bridge on the west side and a bridge on the east side, and they light the same fireworks show, and you can see both bridges. I mean, the spot that we were sitting in, we saw both bridges and the exact same fireworks going off for 30 minutes straight. It seemed like a finale fireworks show for 30 minutes straight. That's how many fireworks were going off that week. So
and the barges between the bridges.
Yeah.
And the cannon fire. Boom.
Yeah. And so that's probably one of the best. I'm praying that this coming week when we see fireworks in DC, I can
bet
say
it will.
That's the best one I've seen.
It will.
So,
yeah, definitely.
So, all right. Well, hey, hit us up next week. Be sure to leave comments about this video. Thank you for sticking around for so long and listening to us ramble about something that we love called jazz music.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
Good night.